Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Scotty, beam me up.
Hulk. Smash. Get over here.
It is pointless to resist.
All right. Once again, a reshuffle. When we got to change plans, we just go back to the old fallback and continue with the list.
That's where we got smart and we say coming soon.
Yes, exactly.
No
No more putting dates on the posters.
easier for anybody coming on too.
Yeah.
A stress environment.
Well, Josh is coming, but due to a migraine, we had to postpone once again, but it's okay. We understand completely. Hope he gets better. This happened last week with Jason, so hey. But we are in our final 20 of our top 100 horror movies. The 2010s. Jason?
All right, this is me kicking off, right?
Yes, sir.
So right out of the gate, I'm gonna go with Frozen.
Good choice. I had that.
Adam
did
Green,
not.
actually, I think the one that first introduced me to him. I'm sure I'd seen his work before, but that was the first one where I was like, "Oh, Adam Green, I know this guy."
Yeah.
You know,
Fantastic.
great movie, a relatively realistic or semi-realistic premise for once. I mean, granted, it's a little of the extreme side, but still, it's one of those horror movies where it's like, ah, shit.
Yeah.
Wrong side
And
of
a fun,
circumstances, this could absolutely happen.
100%. And a fun one to swap with your kids' Frozen Disney DVD.
Yeah, only one time though.
Well, yeah, I don't work, but just the one time. But no, for sure, like it's that kind of horror is when like the stuff that can really happen is what really gets me, and that's the kind of stuff that gravitates towards me. And like, yeah, being stuck on a chairlift in the dead of winter, I'm good. I'm not even going to be in the mountains in the dead of winter, so.
Yeah, but that's the whole. There's a body horror element to it. There's a survival horror element to it.
Yeah.
There's falling apart. Like it literally hits the peaks of multiple different subgenres.
Yeah.
All at one time.
And it's like I said. I mean, I think off the top of my head, I feel like I knew Adam Green from Chillerama. Before anything else. I could be wrong about that because I mean it's like I've actually not even realized how long the dude's been active because you know I think we talked about this last time. As you get older, it sort of starts to blend. So to me, I'm like someone says Adam Green, I'm like yeah, he's still new,
Right?
Except he is not at all at this point. So that's that's my number one. It's Frozen. If people have not seen it, once again, this is one of those movies. Like make the time for it. I think it. Was it a PG-13 or did they get the full R?
I think they might have got the full R from the whole scene.
Well, no, they would have gotten it just from the profanity, actually.
True.
Yeah.
Either way, great movie.
Frozen. All right. Mine, the first one. A lot of people give this movie shit, and I understand why. But I'm going with it because I love the director and I love everything the man's ever touched except for one movie, and that is Tusk.
I thought Tusk was great.
Tusk is amazing. I thought Tusk was good.
It was exactly what it was supposed to be. Hashtag walrus. I mean, it was literally, a joke brought up on a fucking podcast that came to fruition in a matter of like a month after that.
Yeah.
I mean, Justin Long is great in everything that he's in. He's just good. You know?
I agree.
It was nice to see Haley Joel Osment again in something.
Yeah, like the fucking A. Like I saw he was in this movie. I just was that alone made me happy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh my god, we
And of
haven't seen
course,
him in anything.
well, sorry, fucking what? Jesus, what's the man's name? Come on, Craig, help me out here. The
Which
older
man?
gentleman who plays the antagonist.
Oh, Michael Parks.
Thank you. Fucking great.
Yes,
That guy's good.
fantastic.
Or
And
was
Johnny
good.
Depp. And Johnny Depp in this
Johnny
movie.
Depp
Oh my
playing the most bizarre side character. Did you guys ever read any of the side stories, like when they were getting ready to do the filming, and he agreed to, because originally the part was offered to Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, was
It
it? I
was,
did not know
but
that.
Tarantino thought like he was being offered the part of the walrus.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he got confused by it. He said it's a great script, but it's not my thing. So it goes to Johnny Depp instead. Depp says, "Of course, fine, I'll do it, whatever." But he used to call Kevin Smith, like when the pre-production stuff was going on. He'd call him at like fucking 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, and just talk to him in Guy Lapointe's voice, trying to get the accent right and talk to him in character. He said it was one of the most surreal experiences of his life, but he would not have traded it for anything.
Oh hell no, dude! If I was getting phone calls from Johnny Depp at 1 a.m, I'd answer every single one of them.
As Guy Lapointe's character,
As Guy Lapointe, yeah.
Guy Lapointe.
Come to find out, there are no hockey mics.
Oh, and also, if there's
And there is no poutine weenie in the Rue de Jour.
well, like if somebody has legitimately not seen or heard of that movie that's hearing this, the hashtag Walrus Yes statement was because how it got made.
Yes.
They were talking about it on the Smodcast, and they decided to leave it up to a vote to the people that were listening. Would you like to see a movie about a man being turned into a walrus? Hashtag, just come on to, what was it, Twitter, I guess. It's hashtag.
Yeah. Twitter and Instagram,
Yes,
I think is what
Walrus
it was.
no. The Walrus Yes had the resounding vote.
And thankfully so, because I think it's a masterpiece of film.
No, glorious. Even just the fucking fight at the end is so absurd.
Oh my god,
It's wonderful.
When he finally gets the kill.
Oh yeah, and he's I mean, just that.
Yeah. And just screaming. It's like, holy fuck.
Well, that, not to give too much away, but some of the explanations for some of the things, like, well, I had to make tusks out of something.
Yeah. Oh.
I don't want to say it because, like I said, maybe someone hasn't seen it.
Just watch the movie. Tusk. There we go.
That's a good choice.
Gregor.
Oh, let's see. Number one. Hell House.
Ooh.
Good one. Very good one.
Oh, very good movie.
And I still have a lot of hopes for the franchise, too.
I still do,
The second
too.
one was good, too.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, the third one I feel like was maybe it was not bad. It pulled so far away from the original kid. But then again, they didn't really explain much in the first one. I feel like they were trying to explain stuff, and it was a good explanation. The explanations did make things that happened in the first two parts feel more sensical.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping with the new one that's about to come out that I think we're talking about last time, I'm hoping that they kind of pull it back altogether.
Yeah.
Hell House was great, though.
It absolutely was. I thoroughly enjoyed that one.
And another relatively low budget flick that did much better, I think, than anybody expected it to.
Yep.
Agreed. All right. Jason, what do you got next for us?
If I just go straight down the list, as opposed to bouncing around, I feel like one of you is going to name the next one, so I'm actually not going to do it. I Spit on Your Grave, the remake.
I actually haven't seen the remake.
It's really, I mean, the first one was it was a rape revenge fantasy and an exploitation movie. That's what the original was. And the second one keeps the roots, but updates it. It really does. Like
kind of like what they did with Straw Dogs.
Very, very similar to what they did with Straw Dogs. Actually, it was really close to what they did with Evil Dead too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good remake.
Right.
You know? The acting is great. The storyline is great. Even though if you've seen the original and you know the characters and you know the general layout, you still feel for these characters again.
Right.
Like all of them, even the perpetrators, the horrible human beings that kick the shit off, you're sort of feeling for some of them out of it, which is just fucking insane. Like, it's a good remake. It's a hard watch. It deals with some really nasty subject matter. Not so much even in the visceral sense, but just in the moral sense.
Right.
But that's the thing too, man. The guy that plays the sheriff in the remake, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He's actually in one of my other favorite horror movies, The Devil's Chair.
Okay.
This dude plays a villain as good, if not better, than most other major character actors that are known for it. Like, he is fucking despicable. No, that's it. It's either way. Fucking great movie.
I spit on your grave. Okay. My next one. Let's see. Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
I knew you were going to name that.
I had
to put it on my list.
I was actually going to, and then I realized you would definitely name it off.
Come on, you guys know me. You guys know me so well.
Well, the fact that all three of us thought about doing it pretty much tells you what you need to know about the movie.
Right. It's a fucking great movie.
Tyler Levine, Alan Tudyk, both of them. I mean, they're fucking wonderful.
Yeah.
Just the fucking lines in that movie, like so many great one-liners.
God, they're wonderful. I think these college kids are up here in some kind of suicide pact.
we need to call the police. What are we going to say?
Wait, when we brought this up, and I told you guys about the fact that there's actually another edit of the film too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From the college kid's perspective, and it literally is. It's straight up hillbilly horror movie.
Right.
Which is saying something.
But yeah, they're just so fucking great. We need to call the police. What are we going to tell them? Howdy, officers. We've had a doozy of a day.
Dude, that just, oh God. And I mean, some of the telegraph sequences.
Haul off and go head first in the wood chipper.
Well, like when they get to the cabin and the one support beam flops and it's got the nail sticking out of it, like it's a telegraph moment. You know that's going to come into play later. But it's still perfect. Most of the time you see that happen in a horror movie or any type of movie like this, and you're like, oh, come on. But in this one, it's like they did it, and I remember watching the first time, I was like, oh, fuck, of course we're going to see that.
Yeah, but
happens, and you're like, oh, yeah, no, that's why.
Well, because so much shit happens between the time you first see it and then when it actually comes into play that you forget about it.
Oh, yeah, no, there's definitely that, too. But,
and that's what makes it hilarious, because you're just sitting there and you're going, oh my God, I forgot about that. That's fucking funny.
I would argue that this movie, you don't, even if it isn't your thing, if you're somebody who can't, either the comedy aside, you just can't get around any type of gore, any type of bloodshed or whatever, that's fine, because some people are like that. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But if you could just sit in the first 20 minutes and watch Tyler Levine being told by his best friend, all you got to do is say something and then laugh like it was hilarious, and then try that shit.
And it fails miserably.
No, just his fucking delivery of that moment with him. Yeah, no, I get it. They're scared. It's rednecks. These are hillbillies that are going to kill.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's glorious. If you haven't seen it, go see it. Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Krager.
Oh, let's see.
What you got for us?
Tragedy Girls.
Good one.
I have not seen that one.
It is
Tragedy
fantastic.
Girls a little under the radar. It was a Bloody Disgusting release. Was it Bloody Disgusting, or was it off of Shudder?
Shudder.
Yeah. I still have Shudder.
I believe it is on Tubi right now, to be honest.
Oh, right.
Probably would be. It was another relatively low budget effort that actually was written well.
Yeah.
Right.
Acted well and written well. And it's kind of strange. It's another one of those movies where the heroes are despicable. You pull for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That is, to me, at least, one of the hardest things to pull off in any type of horror movie. Is just making you root for the bad guy. And of course, we do it with the classics. You know, you do it with Halloween. Of course, you root for fucking Michael Myers. We've been watching him for fucking our entire lives. It doesn't matter why he's killing it this way. We're just, he gets away with it.
Right.
Halloween coming up. You know, same thing. Like Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, any of the main guys. Even Leatherface. Leatherface is he's a poor, misunderstood, faceless boy.
Yeah.
So it's like you get behind it, but actually taking characters that are unknown and making you give a shit about what they're going through, even though what they're going through is self-inflicted and disgusting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's good writing. That's
Agreed.
just good writing.
Agreed. Sorry, Chad, you're old. I'll have to look at that one.
It's great.
Jason, what you got?
Hold on, fancy drink. Take a moment.
Oh, fancy drink time. While you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and plug you guys on Dad Mented. I'll be joining you this weekend.
That's right.
Our good buddy
You will.
Poltergeist D, Corey Clark.
This one is going to involve something we did with the Deftones, by the way.
Yeah.
We are going to be running through horror trivia.
Sweet.
Craig will be our trivia master in this particular case. I guess we're going to have to split the questions up 3 ways. Or we could go 1 on 2, as the odds have been stacked against Craig once already. So if you would like to, you could also go with him versus me. We could keep it down to 2, or we could go.
We can figure it out as we get closer.
I'm looking forward to it either way. I think it's going to be a blast.
Absolutely. It's gonna be a great time. Corey's a good dude.
Yeah.
Love having him. We love having him here, and I know you guys are gonna love having him over there. So
yeah, no. He's funny as hell to talk to, man.
He's a fucking trip. Corey's
the only thing I needed out of him was like, because when Craig was like, "So what about this guy?" I was like, "Wait a second, Manborg?" Like, that's all I needed. I'm good.
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much.
All right. My third pick, and I guess we're actually on our which number are we on? 6 here?
Oh, let's see here. You get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You're number 7.
The Devil's Rock. Devil's Rock. Another one of those movies. It was a British flick.
Okay.
That I would say flew under the radar, but I don't know, because I don't live in Europe, so I have no idea how it did there. I just knew that by the time I had seen it, it had already been out for like 2 years.
Yeah.
It's really, really good, though. It is. I can give you a basic synopsis for it without explaining too much. The Falklands War.
Yeah.
Right. A British specialty team invades an island that is still occupied by Nazis. The Nazis have raised a succubus. Like, because it was towards the end of the war when some of Hitler's special forces were getting interested in the macabre and magical shit. You know, when they were like, the same thing that Raiders of the Lost Ark was based around, when they were out there trying to find shit to further the Reich in any way possible. So in this particular case, they have raised a succubus on an island. It's good. It's very good. The gory part's gory, the funny parts are funny, and the actual storyline, like, you legitimately care, once again, about characters that are not real.
And that's the whole point of horror, isn't it?
It should be.
So they're doing
it. Outside of yourself for an hour and a half and give you people to focus on that aren't even real, but you're concerned with whether or not they can pull it off.
Exactly. So,
Devil's
Rock. All right. Let me see. What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, of course. Absolutely.
Nobody talks about that movie.
Yeah.
I had a feeling that when you were saying it's a TV show and that's what everybody knows about, I had a feeling that's what you were going with.
Yep. Because it pisses me off because everybody's talking about the show and everything. I'm like, have you seen the movie? There's a movie. The show is pretty fucking fun. Yes, there's a movie. Get your ass in gear and watch the movie, and then you'll appreciate the fucking show.
Yeah, the show was pretty fucking funny.
What's crazy, like, there were callbacks in the show to the movie. Like, it still happens. Now. We're 3 seasons in. It's still happening now. Yes. It's so you don't have to see it to enjoy the show, but it really helps.
It helps you appreciate it a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's these little jokes that fly right by you if you did not see the movie.
Precisely.
Yeah, Taika Waititi. I guess that would have been my introduction to him, and everybody, like, mainstream, I suppose, would have been Thor. Yeah. That guy. Oh, him and Jermaine Clements too, of course. Flight of the It's,
Yeah, Jermaine Clement. You're like that goes without saying.
dude,
Fantastic.
Well, he was fucking great too. Like did you guys
Men
ever
in
watch?
Black 3.
Oh my God, Legion. Did you guys watch Legion?
Yes.
He was awesome in that. A
Mhm.
side nothing character, and he stole every episode he was in.
Yeah.
That guy's fucking good.
And he was a great villain in MIB3.
He was, yeah. Well, I mean, the problem was he was buried under so many different prosthetics
Yeah.
and so much confusion.
But the thing is, he played the role really well.
No, he absolutely did. But the thing is like I knew him from Flight of the Conchords because of I mean, that's when it released over here. I did not realize who that was until years later.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
I knew going in.
I did the thing is when I was watching MIB3, the entire time that I was watching it, every time he talked,
Right.
I was like, why do I know this? You know
Right.
what I mean? It literally took years down the road until I randomly looked him up on IMDb, and it was like, ah, shit, that's why.
Right.
And of course, it's so obvious. It is obvious now. It was not then.
Yeah.
But what we do in the shadows absolutely deserves to be on this fucking list.
Agreed. And anybody who doesn't agree is a fool.
Or hasn't seen it.
Or just right. Well, they're a fool for not having seen it.
Well, I mean, that was also one of the other issues. Is when it came out, the only reason I ended up seeing it was because a friend of mine was doing festival shit.
Yeah, that's exactly how I saw it.
Releases and stuff. He ran a podcast. I can't remember the name of it, but that's all they did. I mean, he used to show up to festivals. He would sit. He would talk to people, and then he would go home. But he was talking about this movie. He told me, he's like, "You seen What We Do in the Shadows?" I was like, I don't even know what that is. And he was like, "I'm not going to tell you anything. Just remember the name. And when you get the chance to watch it.
Yep.
And I did, and it was amazing. And it opened up an entire world of Kiwi horror.
Yeah. Those New Zealanders know what they're doing.
Dude, they fucking do. I mean, there's another movie. It was another New Zealand horror movie.
I've got one on my list. I got another one on my list.
Do you?
I do. I don't think it might not be the same one, but I definitely have another one on my list.
Well, the one I was talking about never really got. It was once again another one of those movies that get picked up. It showed up and like people kind of forgot about it right afterwards.
Right.
And I cannot, for the life of me, remember the name of it. Something Meat.
Huh.
I mean, it's literally it's just a weird little movie about. Well, shit, I don't want to say anything, but not that anybody can find off of the description of Something Meat.
But, I don't know. But yeah, what are we doing?
Yep.
Let's see that.
I'm looking this up afterwards because now I want to watch it.
Craig, you got next.
Let's see. All right, I'll just say it. Dr. Sleep.
Dr. Sleep.
Good Dr. Sleep. Book
There
was
you
good.
go.
The book was very good.
I have read the book. I haven't seen the movie.
The movie's pretty great.
It was a pretty faithful adaptation. Was that Flanagan?
Not sure.
Well, now I got to look it up.
As you do. Yeah, it's one like that's part of the reason because I don't read a lot. But when I do, I tend to hold off on seeing a movie adaptation because it's like I become one of those people.
Yeah, it was Mike Flanagan. Mike Flanagan was the director, the same guy that is responsible for most of the horror that's hitting really good on Netflix right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Dr. Sleep, okay. I'll have to check that. That's another one. Add it to my list.
It's great. It is great.
Right on.
That's all I can say.
Faithful adaptation. Yeah. All right, Jason, you got number 10.
I do indeed. Give me 1 second. I have to wish my mom a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Jason's mom.
Happy birthday.
Birthday shout outs.
I could have,
This says happy birthday too.
Dude, I could have sworn it was 20. I could have sworn it was the 16th.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm aware. It's not. I don't feel good about that. All right, so next, running down the list. Well, not actually, I can't run down the list anymore because we're running out of space, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
All right, then. I'm actually gonna. All right, so once again, another British horror movie. This was Inbred.
Inbred.
It played the festivals. It did pretty decently. It had a short run on Amazon Prime, I want to say. It's a really good horror movie. It runs like the classic, like Tucker and Dale, except serious, like the classic inbred horror shit.
Yeah.
Made even worse because the actors are good. They're very good, and it's like the absurdity. There are parts in that movie that will make you laugh so hard because both the director, the writer, and the actors knew exactly what they were dealing with.
Right.
They ran with it. It's fucking awesome.
Right on.
I can't really say that much more about it because I'm not sure that it would really do it any justice to do so. It's something that you kind of have to see.
Right. Yeah, that's one of those things that we're gonna have to do. Like, I knew this was gonna happen. There was gonna be a lot of movies that I haven't seen.
Well, I mean, yeah, but
another thing I noticed is that I've watched way more 2010s horror movies than just about any other decade.
Yeah.
Because a lot of them I watched as they were coming on Netflix and shit like that. Because we're in this time where everything's going straight to streaming, or it's in theaters for like a week and then it goes to streaming. So it's like it's just been readily available, and I've been able to watch so many good movies, and I think we can all agree that's what made this list particularly difficult.
It is.
Because it's just
to see, like, because the current world that we exist in, where you can literally, if you want to watch something badly enough, including something that literally came out yesterday in theaters, you can find it online.
Somehow, some way, yeah. If
you want to see it, you can see it. You just have to figure out how.
Yep.
It is a different world because back when I know that, in particular when I was younger, and Craig, all of us, the only way you saw stuff was by word of mouth, somebody telling you about something they saw.
Yeah.
They're
going to a video store with your parents or something.
Yeah, you see a fucking cover that just happens to look really cool, and man, you want to watch it.
Exactly.
That doesn't happen now.
That's how I saw Leprechaun the first time.
What's it? Even if you get all right,
Leprechaun looked cool, so I rented the movie.
You go onto any streaming service, any major streaming service right now, and this is all the way down to the network streaming services. And you click on something, there's always going to be suggestions next to it, and they are linked tangentially to, fucking 30 other movies. Yep. That didn't used to happen.
Each one is linked to another like 15 or so movies.
It's like some of them have no connection, though. That is one thing.
Right. But but that's how I've watched a lot of these movies, because like Netflix is like, oh, check this movie out, or
Yeah.
What's that? You like cannibal? Hold on, we got 3 more.
Yeah, exactly. Precisely. But we're gonna take a quick break. We're at the halfway point. 10 more left. 10 more.
10 more.
Kind of surreal,
eh? What are we? We're this close to 8 more years, and then we got the next.
It's the truth. Your principal can't smile, can't swim, can't rap, and I can't stand bubble tape. Your school bus driver can't drive, wears curlers, makes funny noises, won't try bubble tape.
No way, Jose!
Bubble tape. It's 6 feet of bubble gum for you, not them.
I called the witch doctor. He told me what to do. He said, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang.
That means play Dr. Mario on Game Boy or NES.
Ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. I beat the witch doctor, and this is what he said. He said, ooh, ee, ooh, ah, ah, ting, tang, walla, walla, bing, bang. Ooh, ee, ah, ah. And then he struck my head.
All right, we're back. Hope you enjoyed that commercial. I know I did.
As long as G.I. Joes are mentioned at least once, I'm generally pretty happy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, seriously. The all-new Cobra Commander, but doesn't matter.
Until next time, kiddos.
Maybe you can find the Serpenter one next time. That'd be great. That was always my favorite.
All right, I'm going to keep it going with the Kiwi horror. Deathgasm.
Yep, on my list. And you're out.
Yes, a match, finally.
Well, I mean, Jesus, what a great.
Let's talk about Deathgasm. The fucking. What do they do? I've only seen it a couple times, and it's been a while.
All right, so Deathgasm. First off,
like,
you are a metal fan.
Yeah.
If you're a metal fan, this fucking movie is for you.
Absolutely.
100%. Let me lead off real quick. The reason I watched this movie is because I was really fucking high. And I said to myself, I'm going to scour Netflix and try to find the most ridiculous movie I can find.
But it's not it's ridiculous and good, though.
Yeah.
It is. But I came upon it and it said Deathgasm. And I read the description and I go, that sounds ridiculous enough for me. So I hit play and enjoyed the next 2 hours of my life.
It's a straight up story about friendship, the satanic panic, and fucking all kind. Like, there is so much in that movie. And quite frankly, the friendship aspect of it is, man, it's weird. Like, we all of us grew up watching movies like The Goonies and you know what I mean? Like 16 Candles and shit like that. Like, we watch these movies, Weird Science being another one in particular. Yeah, there you go. Where it's like the friendship aspect of things was so important. And it still is. It's still like when you see a really like the reason Stranger Things does as well as it does, at least in my opinion. Yeah. In this particular case, like Deathgasm, the friendship aspect of it is just as central to the plot of that movie as the stupidity going on around it. And it is stupid. It's really
very stupid. It's very stupid.
It's literally a bunch of it's metalheads just doing the dumbest shit you could ever see anybody fucking do to deal with the oncoming apocalypse that incidentally was started in the quest for better metal.
Yes. They learned the riff. That's what it was. They learned the riff and it summoned the fucking demon.
Practical effects in that movie, like something we talk about all the time, and like in a horror movie, like most of what we love. We love the practical effects. We always do. I've never met a horror person that was like, "No, I'm cool with CGI gunshots."
Yeah. Right.
Because they're fucking not. They aren't. Yeah. It happens. We'll let it slide, but it's not what we want to see.
Yeah.
Deathgasm, dude. The latex fucking makeup and the fucking special effects setup. Even some of the props they use to beat demons to death. Which I do not want to clarify any further because that should be a moment for anybody watching it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. From the plot to the effects, if you love horror, if you love metal, watch Deathgasm. Like, stop what you're doing right now. Go watch that fucking movie.
I do believe part 2 is in talks. I don't know if it's.
It needs to happen.
Remember, I read something about it.
I'd be perfectly okay with a Deathgasm too.
The movie was meant to have a continuance.
Right.
You know?
It was totally left open.
Yeah.
My hopes are that enough people got behind it that not only will it have a continuance, it'll have a continuance with a higher budget. Because man, they did that shit.
Oh my god, it was so
not
great.
On a shoestring. They had money to work with, but the type of money that a major studio could have provided, can you imagine what they could have pulled off?
Yep.
I mean, Jesus, the monsters in that movie are fucking beautiful. They really are. They're absurd, but they are gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Like, it's just so wonderfully done. I can't help but love it. Can't help but love it.
That's a very good goal.
Deathgasm. Greg, what you got?
Well, I'm just gonna get it out of the way because if we don't put this on the list, we'd have to kick ourselves. Terrifier.
I knew it. I knew it. Yep. Okay. Like, there's part of me, like, I didn't put it on mine because I knew you'd put it on yours. And part of me didn't even want to mention it because it's like, that's just the ultimate 2000s. Like, the ultimate horror. like that's the horror movie of the 21st century to me.
That's why it needs to make the list. That's
Well, yeah,
I
for
just get it
sure,
out of the way.
but I mean, it belongs in its own category to me.
It does.
According to Mike Flanagan, who we've already mentioned once on the list, or at least as far as direction goes, it is the invention of the super slasher. It's finally here. The ultimate fucking slasher exists.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, literally, this is a battle royale situation too. Like what if we used to talk about it as the reason why a movie like Freddy versus Jason ever got made was because people used to talk about it, like what would happen.
yeah.
Who is the best?
Yeah, like if you were to drop every acknowledged slasher into a ring, who would come out on top?
Art.
Art would fucking win. Like
100%.
he's literally unkillable. Like it's alluded to in all the other ones. Because I mean, how does Jason Voorhees keep coming back?
Yeah.
You know, how does Michael Myers stand up and walk around? We've seen what happens. They actually get damaged, and basically Jason Voorhees is a fucking zombie. That is the answer. Art isn't. Art is something completely different.
Yeah.
Even if it hasn't been fully explained yet, what I'm hoping will be explained in Terrifier 3, Part 1 and 2.
and this is like the first slasher of possible supernatural origin, i.e., Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, Leatherface. That has openly acknowledged the fact that it's of supernatural origin.
Yeah,
it has, but without like one of the things
without even saying it.
Which I don't know. Craig would probably. I don't know. I feel like Craig would probably agree with me on this. Part of where when you were watching the Friday the 13th all the way up until about part 6, give or take, when Jason was coming back over and over again. I mean, actually, even all the way up to part 8, let's say. Like you got hit by lightning and came back to life. Okay, fine. So it takes that little to get this guy kicked off and ready to go. That's cool. Why isn't there an explanation behind it?
Right.
And they tried to explain it, but they did it badly.
Yeah.
What's great about Art is he's relatively new and there is no explanation yet.
Right. But there's hints. Yeah, they're dropping them in, especially with Terrifier 2.
But it's not being like nobody's intelligence is being insulted by what's happening. Like it's clearly acknowledged. Even at the end, like at the end of the first one, and by the way, anybody who watches this movie, I'm not spoiling shit for you by saying this, because the movie itself is something you cannot fathom unless you watched it.
Yep. Yeah, there's no way we can do it any justice by describing it.
You have the credit scene from the first one, where he just sits up after the shit that he's gone through and goes about his fucking business. That pretty much covers, like that is not like that's not something you see in the other slasher flicks. You just fucking don't.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of any Friday the 13th, or even at the end of any Nightmare on Elm Street, the bad guy has been defeated.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, even in something like Freddy, for example, is something they really could have done it with in the Nightmare on Elm Street stuff. They didn't. But they could have. I mean, he's literally he's a figment. He's not a real thing. Of course he could come back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they could have run with that all the way to the bank, but they didn't.
Yeah.
Art. I mean, Flanagan was correct. He is a super slasher. He is the culmination of slasher influence, period.
Yeah.
I mean, even something like Hatchet, you could compare Victor Crowley to, except for Victor Crowley is a ghost. It's explained on the first.
He's a ghost who is summoned.
Yeah. Yeah. He's a very angry ghost.
An extremely angry ghost.
Art's not even angry. He's just Art.
He's just there.
Yeah, he's just having a good time.
That's just Art doing art stuff. But yeah, good call, Craig. Terrifier definitely needs to be included, but
it
is like it goes without saying, you know, but it's definitely fair to include it.
It is.
All right, Jason, what you got?
All right, so if I kept going down the list, I'm going to miss some stuff that I really would like to see on this list.
Yeah.
Sure.
I feel like that's going to happen anyways. All right, either way. Out of the options, I'm going to name it off just because I'm afraid that we might miss it if we don't. VHS 2.
I had 1, but I didn't have 2.
Well, the reason why I put 2 instead of 1 on this is because I felt like they really came into like the first one, let's call it an experiment. It was a good experiment. It was a really good experiment. The stories themselves are absolutely incredible. I mean, it contains really the basis for what later became, what was it, Siren?
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, and that the woman who plays that character is absolutely fucking wonderful. But VHS 2 picked up and ran with the thought. Like it was, they had the money, they had the funding, they had the studio backing to really do something with it, and they did.
Yeah.
You know, and bear in mind, like the VHS series, in my opinion, holds up. There's a lot. I mean, granted, some people would argue that as it goes on, it isn't as good. I would disagree. I think they're all fucking great.
Yeah.
You take them individually. You take the parts of the movie themselves individually. They're all good. It's a director who thought this is a good way to go and ran with it, and that's awesome. I love seeing anything like that. So that VHS 2.
I tried to watch the first one, but I don't know. At the time I was watching, I don't think I was in the mindset to be watching found footage.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
That's
definitely,
if you're not a found footage person, you've never seen these movies, you're not going to be okay with this movie.
right.
Yeah.
But I've watched some found footage movies since then. And I really enjoyed those, so I need to go back and give them a fair shot.
There's a lot of good found footage. I mean, look at Hell House.
No, there were,
you
yeah, absolutely. That's part of it right there, sure.
You had VHS 1, VHS 2, and then you had VHS Viral, right?
Yeah.
All right, so Viral, I heard a lot of people talk shit about, and it was only because of the overall story. The individual stories were still fucking great.
Yeah.
Right.
The last two that came out specifically on Shudder were wonderful in my opinion. They were awesome. In the first VHS, literally, there's stuff you see in that movie that it's not something you would see in a horror movie. But if you're a horror person, that's what you want. You want something that'll surprise you.
Yeah.
And VHS 2 pulls that shit off beautifully.
Right.
Like it's literally, I mean, there are stories that you think you know what's going to happen, but it doesn't. It's something different. It's enough to pull you back to when you were fucking 13 years old watching this shit on Late Night USA.
Right.
It's a very, very, very good compilation movie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, anthology horror. That's another thing. I love that kind of like horror movie setup. So yeah, I definitely need to go back and give them another shot. But VHS 2. There we go. And for, quite frankly, let's just include the entire series.
That's kind of what I'm going for. Also, when I name it, like actually, I was going to argue that one. Like I said, I mean, there are stories in that.
All right.
Just Siren one alone it's incredible. There are some that fall a little short, but you can see what they were aiming for.
Right.
Right. Oh, and VHS 2 incidentally contains, I think, the zombie segment.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. That is one of the most unique zombie things that I've ever seen in my life. First person perspective of somebody who's been changed.
Right on.
It's kind of hard to go against it. And that and the apocalyptic end of the world fucking ending to it. If it's the one that I'm thinking about, because honestly, they blend a little bit.
Right.
Which one is the one? I know the story, but which movie is it in where she has to like stay overnight at the funeral home? Was that VHS?
That was Viral, wasn't it? Was that Viral?
It might have been.
No, I need to know because I'm not sure I'm right. Like Viral, the one that stands out mostly in Viral was the kids skating in Mexico.
Yeah.
Yeah, or in Tijuana actually, and then it might have been the first one. It could have been VHS. I think you might be right, Greg.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I know that it contained the one really lame segment about the serial killer following the two chicks into the hotel. Like I didn't that one. I didn't give a shit about. I thought it was garbage.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Once again, this is one of those moments where I say I understand the premise and the thought behind it. I at least appreciate it. The actual story, I felt like they failed on.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there you go. VHS 2. But if you haven't seen it, or the VHS movies like me, we'll go back and we'll.
And Hulu, I believe, contains the first three.
I believe so.
I have both of those. But all right.
What else we should do, by the way, is start if we can remember where these things are actually streaming. We should probably mention that.
Right. Well, what we can do, we'll discuss that off the air. But okay, VHS 2, very good choice, I think. Found footage horror, anthology horror, and obviously you're going to contain different horror elements in the anthologies. So it's there's something for everybody.
Oh yeah, they bridge the genres. They definitely do.
Absolutely. And that's any anthology horror, like the ABCs of Death, for instance. Shit, come on. But not on my list, by the way. Just because so many fucking movies came out in this decade.
Yep.
So
well, it's like we were talking about leading up to this. I mean, there was a resurgence.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
The running up to this point, there was there were entire new groups of people interested in horror all through the 80s. Like it started off with, let's say, a select few in the late 70s that were suddenly getting behind these new slasher movies. And these were movies that were made, by the way, very found footage like. I mean, to an extent, you didn't even see the bad guy. You only saw their perspective and heard breathing through a mask.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was, so let's call that the late 70s. And you had the 80s, like I said, they were throwing everything they could to stick at the wall. Whatever they could throw, they would say, is it demons people are into? Oh shit, they like demons. Is it monster? Oh shit, they like monsters. Is it fucking slasher? Oh, they like slashers.
Right.
That was the 80s. The 90s, where they got the formula, or what they thought was the formula down pat, and suddenly it was nothing but slasher movies.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing but slasher movies. And they didn't gain any new interest. In the early 2000s, on the other hand, they started going back to the formula where they were trying to figure out what they were missing. And that was the actual horror fans making those movies. There weren't a lot of them. But then by the time the 2010s rolled around, it was suddenly like everybody was like, oh shit, it's just horror for the sake of horror. It has nothing to do with the specific genre. Because people enjoy these fucking movies. Let's see what we can do with it.
Right.
Can you make it smarter? Fuck yeah, you can. Can you make it dumber? Absolutely. Can you make it funnier? Oh, very much so. Because I mean, let's face it, like the 2010s, there are so many comedy horrors, so many, and they are hilarious.
Yes, yes, they are.
I mean, actually, I'm sure we all have several of them on our list. I mean, I know I've got like 3 or 4 that have already been named off.
Yeah, I've got a couple.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking. Honestly, I only got 2 or 3. And that surprises me.
Well, I guess I know where I'm going when I get to my next one, then.
Yeah, please. But my next one, I'm staying in 2015, and I'm staying where this show is rooted, and that is punk rock. And I'm going with He Never Died.
That's on my list. I got to get rid of that
now. Henry fucking Rollins.
Glorious.
As Kane. The eternal vampire-esque vegetarian.
Just on that too. As far as what he is, because I mean, the fact is, when you watch that movie, it's not immediately explained as to what he is. It's just the fact that he has to eat meat.
Right.
He has to.
He has to. Well, he has to consume blood, is what he has.
Right. Well, it's blood, but he does it to form of. It's not just drinking. I mean, he fucking eats.
But he buys the blood bags off a hospital intern who has.
That's because he was trying to correct something that could never be corrected.
Yep.
Which is the whole point about the he never died aspect. Like it's not a he never died. It's he will never be forgiven. There is no end to this existence.
Exactly. But it contains what I like to call unintentional humor.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Henry Rollins, if you ever see an interview with the man, he's unintentionally funny.
Yeah.
Just the way he delivers, or if you've ever seen his spoken word performances, he is not a comedian. It's just some of the shit he says is fucking hilarious. Like George Carlin. George Carlin wasn't trying to be funny. He was just talking.
That's very true.
You know what I mean? And that's what Henry Rollins is doing right now. And that's exactly, like, to me, he just takes his stage persona from his spoken word performances and just tweaks it a little bit.
And there he is.
And there he is. He never
I
died.
would argue he did the same thing in Feast.
No, absolutely. He's just unintentionally funny. And that's what makes me love Henry Rollins.
what I love about He Never Died, and it actually falls back on exactly what you just said. When shit hits the fan in that movie, it's such a fucking hassle for him to deal with it. Like that's how he approaches
it's such an inconvenience. Everything that happens in that time is such an inconvenience to him.
Like
He's
it's
just
like
come on,
dudes that are half devoured, laying in the fucking floor of your shitty little fucking sub basement apartment, and you're just pissed off because you have to mop.
Right?
You know what I mean? Like that's fucking funny. That is funny.
And the guy hits him, and he's just like, "Don't do that."
Did you guys ever see? There's a part 2.
Yeah, She Never Died. I haven't watched it.
I started it and I can't remember what happened, but I had to stop it. It wasn't because I didn't want to keep watching it. I think it has something to do with my kid. Oh yeah, that's right. She woke up from a nap, so I couldn't keep watching.
Right.
Yeah. So, but the thing is it looked like it had some serious promise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll give it a shot then.
And
I saw it, and I was just like, I don't know, but I'll give it a whirl.
No, that's an absolutely great choice. But I mean, of course, I would say that I had it too.
All right, but I mean, for those who haven't, even if you're not like a punk rock fan, like just go. If you're a horror fan and you love unintentional humor in horror, go watch this movie because it's perfect. Craig,
I'm gonna stick with our punk rock roots here, and I'm going with Green Room.
Thank you.
Green Room. I haven't seen this.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Oh Lord, you are missing out. Anton Yeltsin's last effort, or at least the last thing we could see the guy in.
Yeah.
And quite honestly, Captain Jean-Luc Picard himself,
Patrick Stewart.
yes sir, playing a role that will make you despise him.
Yep.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he does
That's
it
a stretch.
so well. Like I mean, obviously he is a Sir Patrick fucking Stewart, basically, right? I mean, the guy is really into what he does, but man, this movie, there are levels of terror in every word that guy fucking says in this movie.
Yeah.
It's not like what he's saying isn't horrible, it's the way it's delivered.
Right.
It's such a flippant way to deal with what's happening, right? It's so, it's just gross.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's honestly, it's just fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
And he does it without, like, it's not. We often use the term "chewing the scenery" to refer to somebody who is in a position where they are literally elevating themselves above the movie. He doesn't do that. He's part of it. He's very much part of it. But man, he nails it. He will make you hate him by the end of this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Also, Anton Yeltsin, incidentally, it's fucking great. He's great.
That boy, oh man, taken way too young. Way too young. Like
the
that's
silliest of fucking mistakes.
Yep. Just total freak accident. And I gotta, like, you mentioned Anton Yelchin. I have to mention this movie, which I'm surprised I completely fucking forgot on any of my lists. Odd Thomas. Odd Thomas.
Dean Koontz, the poor man, Stephen King.
Yep. But what a great movie.
No, it is. It's great because he's good in it.
Yeah.
And actually, the
story. If it wasn't for him, it'd be a terrible fucking film.
All right, so you have. If you compare,
I said Flim. Over.
My guess is through high school, all of it. We loved all of them. That would be my suspicion.
What was that?
Stephen King and Dean Koontz, probably. What's his name? Gammon, the guy that wrote Swan Song. There's like we all read these books through high school because they were quote unquote horror books. My thing was though is you can honestly tell a lot about a person by which one was the favorite, Stephen King or Dean Koontz.
Yeah.
Like King, his whole setup, or at least in my opinion, came down to sometimes bad shit just fucking happens.
Yep.
Which is the one that I always kind of prefer because it's true. It's a realistic way of looking at it. Sometimes bad shit just happens. I always felt Dean Koontz tried too hard to explain what was happening. And not in a bad way. I mean, the fact is, some of like The Bad Place is an incredible book. Watchers, fucking awesome.
Yeah.
There is not a Dean Koontz book I can name that I didn't like. What I didn't enjoy was explaining something that just like wasn't necessary to explain. Like bad shit happens, Dean. Let it go from there, brother. You don't have to push it any further. We all know, because we all live in the same world you do, that bad shit fucking happens.
Yeah.
Also, the reason why Stephen King books, regardless of how fantastic they were, felt more real to me. That was a weird side note.
It sure was. It's all good though. But
I had
green
fancy
rooms. Yeah. Yes, you did.
It has bitters in it. Who the fuck puts bitters in fucking whatever that is?
You do. But the green room, Krager. That was where you. Okay. So, Jason.
All right. So that was the green room, which, by the way, good job, Craig. Seriously.
Yeah. I felt it had to be there.
Oh. How many do we actually have left?
Let me see here. I think I have 2 more, and you each have 1.
So this is my last.
Well, no, this is your second to last. So
Second
you'll have
last.
1 more after this.
I see what you're saying. Oh, fuck me. I've only got 2. I want to name off the shit that I was talking about as comedy horror, but I don't want to waste the really good shit.
Oh, now you have to.
I don't want to, though, but I really don't want to. I know there's
sacrifices.
Holy shit. All right, you know what? I'm going to split the difference. If I got 2, then Happy Death Day.
Oh, okay. I thought about including that in mine, but I left it off.
Happy Death Day was a resurgence. It was a moment where silly shit could suddenly happen in horror movies again.
It's Groundhog Day with death.
Dude, it's like even the second part was great.
I haven't seen the second one.
It's wonderful. It's an amazing movie. Happy Death Day is a full-on slasher movie with a straight-up supernatural origin that's still perfectly acceptable to anybody watching it because it's also a comedy.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious. It's hilarious.
It's not even like the jokes aren't even dependent on the shit happening around it. It's just fucking fun.
Yeah, just funny shit happening in a bad situation.
By the way, I shit on a really good one for that.
Oh.
I feel like I did the right thing, but I'm a little sad about it. We should have made like top TV lists.
It's okay. We have honorable mention.
We do. The Happy Death Day, though, my guess is anybody who does run across this is probably already seen it. If you have not seen it, please watch it. And then watch the sequel because it's also great.
Right.
The actors are good. The story is absolutely wonderful. The dialogue is hilarious. There's not a lot of gore. If you're a serious gore hound, don't go there looking for that because it's not there.
Yeah, you're not going to find it.
But for a straight up slasher movie with a great background story, this is it.
Yeah, exactly. It's really good. But okay, so Happy Death Day.
Yep.
Okay, I'm getting down to the nitty gritty myself. Oh boy. Okay, this is going to be my next choice because I just want to make sure it gets included. Hush.
Another Netflix film.
That same here. That movie, like, I'm not big on like the home invasion kind of horror. Like, I like The Strangers, but
this was home invasion done with a twist, though. Let's be fair.
It absolutely was because the main character is deaf.
Throw some respect on that name. I mean, like, seriously, that movie. It blew my mind. Well, it's all right. So if you look at any really good slasher, home invasion, or horror movie, the thing that makes it great is that it pulls you in. It makes you like, what would you do if you were in their position?
Yeah.
Right? Like that is what it is. Like, how would you survive this shit?
Yeah.
This movie fucking takes that so far beyond what one would expect. I mean, Hush, literally, it doesn't just put you in the protagonist's perspective. You pull for her you hope for. And even if you're not somebody who will yell at a screen, you will yell at a fucking screen.
I
for
did
this
too, and I woke
Yeah.
up my wife.
Yeah, no, I did the same thing. Like when I was watching it.
It was fucking hilarious. I was like, I'm sorry, I'm watching a movie.
Her victories, like, we talked about Bone Tomahawk once before, and there's a moment in Tomahawk where if you're seeing that for the first time, all you can say is yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, there was one moment where you literally just like you were like, yeah.
Yep.
This movie, that's what this whole movie feels like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Every
Dude.
time there's the smallest fucking victory, all you want is for that feeling to continue because holy shit, this motherfucker deserves it.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
that's a great movie.
It's fantastic, and it was like, oh, it was probably, yeah, it was one I'm just chilling on the couch, late at night, looking for something to watch. Came across this, and I was just like,
That's
why not?
how it happened for me. Like it was the next one suggested. I was like, all right, fine, why not? Like,
Yep.
Yeah.
And I do not regret it one single bit. But there you go, Hush. Craig,
Uh,
the final one.
you know what? I'm gonna throw it out there because it deserves the list. Chillerama.
There you
very
go.
good,
That one
very
too.
good. I didn't add it because I was hoping you were going to.
That too. But, yep. For those who
Chillerama was
don't know-
another one of those that was super unexpected.
Yeah.
It was fucking hilarious, and it was also gross, and it was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
And that's what I was hoping when we talked to Josh, we were going to be able to talk to him a little bit about that, to be honest with you.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Well, I mean, he did part of the post production, I guess, on that, and I wanted to know what he did because there's some shit like most of that is traditional effects. The good majority of it is right.
Right.
I wanted to know what he did because it blended. Whatever he did on that, he did very well.
Yeah.
Also, an anthology horror.
There you go.
And as mentioned way earlier, Adam Green, one of the first times I remember hearing his name.
Yeah.
Did a segment in it. But every segment is actually good. And they are unexpected and they are fucking funny.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, I mean, these are people who were well aware of the content that they were creating.
Yeah.
Giant sperm.
That's like literally that statement is all you need to know about this movie. Giant
There
sperm.
you go. There you
Not
go.
sperms, not sperms, sperm. Giant sperm.
100%. Oh man. Chillerama. Jason, your last one.
Dude, I've got so many that I want to say. All right, so I'm going to do it because I think the man deserves it. I think he probably deserves all the credit in the world. It's not. This would not be like out of the list that I had. This wouldn't be at the top of it. But just to make sure that it makes this list, Get Out.
Fair enough. I haven't seen it. That's Jordan Peele, right?
That is Jordan Peele, and that guy is literally. I mean, he might be my last hope, at least, for like intelligent fucking horror. And
Yeah.
there was a lot of shit like when Get Out came out, it was a lot of shit that was wrapped up in race, which is fair because I mean it is a racially oriented horror movie.
Yeah.
But that's not all it is. The cinematography in it, the way in which it's assembled, it is a straight horror movie. You can't help but put yourself in the victim's position for this movie. It doesn't matter your fucking color.
Right.
Feel for it. Like you can see it, and maybe that's what makes it brilliant. I'm not sure. I do know that it's done incredibly well. The fact that he took the time to make sure there was subtle shit in the background that should have tipped you off all the way through. Like you've never seen it, and you don't know what's going to happen. There's shit all the way through the movie that tells you what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like really tells you. It doesn't just sort of hint at it. It's blatant. But you miss it if you're not looking for it.
Yep.
Jordan Peele. I mean, Craig watched Nope today, I believe.
Yeah, I had to stop about halfway through, but it's pretty good. I'm finishing it.
That guy, Jordan Peele knows what the hell he's doing with a horror. I mean, you can watch the Key and Peele shit and tell that he knows what a horror movie is and why. I mean, he's like, there's so much. There are skits that make fun of the shit through it.
Yeah,
He's aware of what he's doing. Nope, or not nope, but Get Out deserves the praise that it received. Like there was a lot of. I mean, I even remember reading like it wasn't that good. No, it really was. Like if you compared it to almost anything else coming out at the time, this is, at least depending upon which horror people you're really into, this is what horror was supposed to be. It makes you think, it makes you care, and more importantly, it pulls a fucking rug out from underneath you after you do. It is a perfect horror movie.
There you go. Okay. I got the last one.
Yep.
And I got a lot to choose from. Oh, God.
Yeah, see, this is the problem I've had for the past 4 years.
But, oh, God. Okay, so I'm going by a system here, and I'm trying to keep to it, and it's just not working out the way I want it to. But, oh, God. I know how you felt last time, Jason.
Right.
World War Z.
I'll give you that. Max Brooks stuff.
Yep. Max Brooks, son of our favorite Mel Brooks.
Right. A little bit of a stray from the source material, but it wasn't in a bad way.
No.
It was in a way that makes sense for a movie.
For sure. And it gave a new twist to the zombie genre.
Oh, absolutely. For no other reason than the ant piling.
Right. And that's why I like it, because it's a new way to defeat them.
Well, it's okay. So you had the Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, right?
Yes.
The idea of a fast zombie.
Obviously an influence on that.
Well, yeah, but we talked about it before. Like the idea that like zombies who have just turned, of course, are going to be faster. There's no rigor mortis. There's no deterioration. They're going to be quicker. That's why it spreads the way that it does. Cool. Makes absolute sense.
Yeah.
What I like the like the World War Z thing where they literally just pile against the surface and continue climbing up their own.
Mm-hmm.
That is a fucking terrifying thought. But it's also something like, why wouldn't it happen? That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you have like if you have the straight up walls of Jericho built around you, they're gonna get over it because there's more of them than there are.
Jerusalem, not Jericho, but
well, Jerusalem is how I say walls of Jericho because they were the greatest walls ever built or whatever.
Yeah.
The whole idea being that there's literally nothing to stop the forthcoming fucking apocalypse.
Right.
Kicked off, it's gonna finish. More importantly, what's even better is like it's a weird way to finish out a zombie movie. Zombie movies don't finish out the way this one did.
Yeah.
No. With the living coming out on top.
Well, I mean, for that reason, why?
Yeah.
I mean, just like if you haven't seen the movie, I don't want to say why, but I mean, just the idea that the solution could be something like that.
Right.
Which
it's just like, whoa, wait,
it makes sense. It does make sense, which is why it worked out well. And plus, Brad Pitt, like you may not like him as a fucking human being or the fact that he's a pretty guy, he's a good actor.
Yes. I'm guilty of not giving that man the credit that he deserves as an actor.
No, he's fucking 12 Monkeys. Look at 12 Monkeys, man. He's fucking wonderful.
Seven.
He's great in 7. He was good in fucking Cutting Class, and that movie is terrible.
That movie is absolute dog shit.
But he was good.
He was.
I mean, it's bad.
Look at him in Inglourious Bastards.
Absolutely. Fucking Lieutenant Aldo Rain. Like
Aldo Rain.
I mean, you can watch him in anything he's in. He plays a character that'll make you concerned for him.
Mm-hmm. And this movie's another one.
There's no way to. That is not like zombie movies are not resolved the way that we're resolved.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what
like,
makes it great.
Yep. And like to me, like they don't need to make any more zombie movies after it. You know what I mean? Because how do you top it? You know what I'm saying? Like
it will be top. No, it'll be
oh,
top.
for sure they'll find a way. I'm sure, but like it's just
The
this
logic
movie.
behind what happens in that movie is fucking anything that, like, if you are a long-time horror fan, you enjoy zombie movies, World War Z, if you take it for what it is, like, don't
go in with an open mind.
Disregard that it was a major studio production. Just disregard all that and watch it for the story.
And if you're lucky enough, watch the director's cut.
Yeah.
That's like I know it sounds cliche as shit, but it is the best way to watch that movie.
I do feel like there is an aspect of that, though. There are, like, horror fans, or at least let's say long-term or extreme horror fans, have a tendency to get in their own way to enjoy the substance that they want.
Yeah,
it is a problem.
Yeah,
like, I do it. I'm judgmental as shit about stuff that I could just enjoy if I would just sit and watch.
But I say you got to watch the director's cut, not because like, oh, there's just more gore. No, that's what everybody does. Like the director's cut, normally that's what it is. It's just more gore, or they're allowed to swear.
Yeah.
But like if it's a PG-13 with a director's cut, they're just more F-bombs. But this movie, there's actually more to the story in the director's cut,
which makes sense.
So go ahead. Like, it's not much, but it does count.
It's enough to round it out, which is like, I mean, that is the other thing too. I mean, there's a lot of major studio productions that insult the viewer.
Yeah.
I mean, they just do. Just well, the average person is going to understand this, except the average person will. The average person is going to get what you're fucking trying to say. You don't have to spell it out. We understand. You spend fucking 10 minutes of an hour and 20 trying to explain to us something that we already knew. It was a similar issue popped up during the fucking Spider-Man shit where they kept showing Uncle Ben dying. Yeah. We all know where the fuck Spider-Man came from. We don't need we don't need to see the guy get bit by a spider. It doesn't fucking matter. We get it.
Yeah, exactly.
And World War Z sort of did away with that to an extent. There was no need. It just fucking kicked off. And granted, there was a little bit of backstory, but it wasn't anything that was important. It didn't matter.
Right.
Once it gets going, it's more about what the fuck is happening, which is why any zombie fan would ever watch that shit to begin with.
Exactly.
How are they going to deal with this oncoming crisis?
Yep.
And also, once again, I will say it. And it is in a way that you would never expect, because I can't think of another zombie movie that would ever solve the shit that way.
Yeah.
But it makes sense to solve
because none of them had done it until this one. So, like, none of them even thought about it.
No, World War Z is a perfectly fair movie to drop in on this.
Absolutely. But there we go. 100 movies, 5 decades, 20 movies per decade.
We have 100. We have a top 100
and
horror movies with many honorable mentions that maybe should be on the list, but fuck it.
Yep. And speaking of which, Greg, you're kicking off the honorable mentions.
All right. Let's see what I got here. I got Cabin in the Woods.
Cabin in the Woods, good one.
Not that one.
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Psycho Gorman.
Oh, Psycho Gorman was great.
Velocipaster. The Visit.
I haven't seen
never
that
seen
one.
The
Visit. It's creepy grandparents. That's all I could say.
Oh boy!
I know the major turning point in the movie, but I've never seen the movie itself.
Yeah. All right, I got Satanic Panic.
Okay.
31.
31.
Dude Bro Party Massacre 3.
Of course.
The Barn. 3 from Hell.
Good one.
She Who Must Burn. And Zombie Night.
She Who Must Burn was the one before Zombie Night?
Yeah.
She Who Must Burn was actually a very good movie. For no reason that it'll make you fucking
that movie made me so fucking angry. Yeah. That movie straight pissed me off.
It immediately makes me think of the actor, and I don't fucking know anything.
I want to hurt him.
Yeah, right. Which means he did his part well.
He did his job.
His part perfectly.
Yes. But Jason, honorable mentions.
All righty. The Perfection. This was a made for Netflix movie. Fucking great. Color Out of Space, the Nicolas Cage version.
Yeah.
That was the first version that I had ever seen of an H.P. Lovecraft story that just isn't adaptable. They adapted it, and they did it as well as they could. And man, it's good. So Mandy.
What is it?
Mandy.
Mandy. Okay.
Mandy's a very good movie.
Nicolas Cage flick, just because you get to see Nicolas Cage doing what Nicolas Cage does best.
Nicolas Caging.
Pretty much. Suspiria, the remake.
Suspiria. I thought about that one.
The original Suspiria to me.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's see, the Belko Experiments.
Oh.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Fucking great movie. The Void.
The Void. Okay.
The Void was honestly at a time where suddenly everything was taking a back seat to CGI shit.
Yeah.
It went straight back to practical effects, and it hit so much harder because of it. If you like Lovecraftian shit, this is your movie. Let's see here. Dead Snow, Red versus Dead. Part 2 to the Dead Snow movies.
Yeah.
Way better than the original. The original was good. The second one was way better.
Yeah.
Which is not something you could say for a lot of movies.
Right.
Cabin Fever, Patient Zero, only because
thought about that. Thought about it.
Yeah, well, it's my reason why, because I mean, Cabin Fever is Cabin Fever, but the idea that they later ran with it and created this whole backstory, not just that, but you know, Sean Astin.
Sean Astin.
He's fucking great in it.
Mikey fucking Walsh.
And the gory shit that happens in it too. Holy fuck.
Yeah,
that
dude.
wasn't happening in horror movies at the time. They didn't fuck around with it. Let's see here. Did I already name off the Evil Dead, the remake?
No, you did not.
No.
Evil Dead, the remake. Very, very good. It lived up to exactly what it was supposed to be. John dies at the end.
Thought about that one too. Great one.
Fucking great movie. The Collection. That was my way of sneaking in the Collector on this one because, quite frankly, that movie, honestly, if they had managed to put all the parts together before Terrifier, I think that would have been the birth of the super slasher.
That's
like the original Collector was meant to be a Saw prequel, right? So when they ended up doing that plus the Collection, they created something that stands by itself and is not just fucking torture porn. That's a slasher, and it's a really, really horrific one.
Yeah.
Get good with that shit.
For sure.
And finally, Hatchet, Part 2.
Yep.
My way of seeing the Hatchet movies.
Of course. Yep, thought about those too, and I was just like, I couldn't
do it because I didn't. It's not because they don't deserve to be here. They deserve to be here probably quite a bit more than some.
I agree.
On here, it's only because they were so. The Hatchet movies were designed to draw a specific audience looking for a specific thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Done as fan appeasement.
Yep.
And they were done well that way. I mean,
they
Victor
were.
Crowley is fucking glorious.
Kane Hodder
are amazing.
Yep.
Everything in those movies, absolutely incredible. The overall storyline is even something you can get behind.
Yep.
But they were pandering, at least to our horror audience.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, they called to a specific type of person.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that is the only reason that I didn't name them off to begin with. It's the only reason I guess any of us didn't. It's not because they're not right. They probably do belong on this list. They just can't be because they tried to be on the list.
Yeah.
Right. But there we go. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to go. I'm just going to go backwards because I went by a year. Like after my first three, I went by a year, and that's where it just gets all jumbled. So I'm just going to go for it.
If it helps me, I wish I
had. The Lighthouse. Totally. That's the movie that proved to me that Robert Pattinson's a good actor.
I was actually Robert Pattinson. The thing that proved to me that he was a good actor is how much he fucking hated Twilight.
See, I didn't know that.
Oh, he fucking hated it.
Okay, I have a whole new respect for Robert
He
Pattinson now.
referred to his face in Twilight as I was trying to figure out what a pretty constipated person would look like. No joke. If you could look it up right now on YouTube. Robert Pattinson.
Batman, he deserves to be Batman. I take back everything negative I ever said about the new Batman movie.
He took that movie to make money, and he thought it was a stupid story, and he hated it the way it turned out.
All right, I'm in love with the guy. But all right, Pet Sematary.
Good one.
John Lithgow, excellent. American Exorcist.
Very good call there.
Bill Moseley.
Yep.
Hereditary.
Hereditary should have been on this fucking list, but I didn't want to name it because I felt like, all right. So
I just didn't want to talk about it.
Well, the whole issue was like when you looked later on into the fucking 2010s and past it, it wasn't just an issue of horror movies. It was an issue of horror movies and what they could do for society, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
It became a thing like that. I mean, like you had Hereditary and Midsummer and like all these A23 fucking movies or A23 movies. And it became an art house experience. They didn't have to be. It wasn't necessary.
Yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. Hereditary is fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
There are parts in that movie that are fucking horrific. Midsummer, not so much, but man, it got so much fucking credit.
Yeah.
Midsummer was good. It was a good movie, but I'll never watch it again because it's fucking slow.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's not a horror movie. It's a slow build terror thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just uncomfortable. Well, like horror people, at least in my opinion, that's not what they're in for. They don't want to feel uncomfortable for 2.5 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to watch a fucking horror movie.
Right.
That's not granted. Hereditary didn't do that. Hereditary was scary because it was Toni Collette being fucking terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
The actors in that movie are great. The storyline is absolutely incredible. It should be on this list. It should be.
It should, but it was just one of those things like I couldn't like talk about it because it's just oof.
Well, once again, I'll never watch it again.
Yeah, a great movie, but I'll never. Yeah,
You know
it
what's
sticks
coming.
with you.
It's gone.
It sticks with you. Let me double back to Pet Sematary real quick because my next one and my next two, like I kind of wanted to stay away from mentioning remakes and franchises that we've already talked about.
You're about to name it.
It.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But
that's I almost did it and I didn't do it because I thought you were going to.
Jigsaw.
But the thing is, though, is I was going to name it. It is a good horror movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just.
We already talked about it.
Well, we talked about it. We also, quite frankly, can you imagine what the original fucking NBC version would have been if they'd had the budget?
Yeah. Oh man, it would have been so much better.
Like if they'd been able to actually finish it out the way they intended.
Yeah.
Because the actors, even like Tim Curry playing it just with his whole fucking we all float, we all float, we all float, we all float.
Yeah.
Like his delivery of that line is fucking brilliant.
Yep.
It's wonderful. It is everything you hope to see in Menace.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. The remakes were really, really good, but the remakes were made with hindsight. The original version was perfect without the right money.
Yeah. Agreed. Next one, Jigsaw.
Yep, almost put that on there. Got real close. I'm a big Saw. I love the Saw franchise.
I'm a fan as well, but I am specifically a fan of Jigsaw simply because it basically ignored 2 through 7.
Yeah, when you have the Saw movies being what they were, though, like when you break them down, they were hopping on the coattails of torture porn. They weren't like a lot of people call them torture porn. They were actually jumping on it.
Yeah,
I would say that Hostel probably fucking nailed that before Saw ever thought.
100%.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like when you watch the original Saw, the way it turns out, the way it comes out, there is a lesson. There's more to it. There's a morality involved, and it's it's explained. Like we know later on, like I don't think I'm spoiling this for anybody, but if you watch the original Saw and you look at when Carrie Elways comes across fucking Tobin Bell in the hospital, he has a diagram for the bear trap fucking trap.
Yeah.
Reverse bear trap. He's got that shit drawn out on a thing, and it is obvious, by the way, when you know it's there and you watch that movie again, you can't miss it. Like
I'm gonna keep an eye out. I'd never noticed that.
To be there, it's meant to tell you what's happening, and that's a great idea. That's a brilliant fucking horror movie. It wasn't just torture porn. It was meant to be what horror is, which is terrifying because there's a moral. You could have avoided it if. Yeah. So I mean, that is every horror movie that was ever made. Everything that every horror fan gets behind. You don't do this because if. You know, it's I don't know. The Jigsaw deserves to be here. The Saw franchise, period, deserves to be.
But that's part of why I didn't include Jigsaw, because we already have the Saw franchise on the list, and it's. But
did we actually add it?
Yeah. Yep. I made the last one. But my next one, Gehenna.
Good movie. Very good
Great
movie.
movie.
But that was another one that flew under the radar.
Yep. Another Netflix find. Like, it was just, and it, you talk about a plot twist I wasn't expecting. If you haven't seen that movie though, definitely check it out.
Actually, Triangle should have been on this list somewhere too.
Triangle. Fuck, I forgot about that one.
Triangle, very much. I like Craig. Still, I don't think has seen it. It's
That's the one with the cruise ship, right?
It is a cruise. Did you watch it?
Yeah.
Tell me you watched it. Okay. So that is one of those movies where you watch. There is such a weird psychedelic fucking element to it.
Yeah.
But man, it's really hard when you get it.
Yeah.
Like that movie, similar to Gehenna, by the way.
Yeah.
There is a psychedelic element to that fucking movie. Also a religious element as well, but just the idea that like you have created your own fucking that should have been on the list too. You're right. That's
Stitches.
Great fucking movie.
Love that fucking movie.
Back to the point that comedy could be comedy and horror could be horror.
Yeah.
Exactly. Grave Encounters.
Almost named it. I thought one of you would.
Stakeland.
Stakeland was good. Part 2 sucked.
Agreed. Again, back to my wanting to leave off remakes, but oh god, it was very hard for me not to say this one. Green Inferno.
Green Inferno was a great fucking movie.
Amazing.
Yep. And
for those that don't know, it's a remake because it's a direct remake of Cannibal Holocaust.
It might as well be a direct horror. Like you can't say it was direct because there's enough different, but it is.
Yeah, but it's definitely
Cannibal horror Holocaust. Like
it's pretty much the exact same story. And
no, it completely is. It's just the way in which shit is done. It's a little different, but it's not. Green Inferno was a great movie. I've watched that thing fucking 5 times on Netflix easily.
It's a fantastic movie. And my last one, it wasn't classified as a horror movie, like at least on the list that I saw, because it wasn't on that list. But Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter.
Okay, fair enough. Was it classified as an action?
Fantasy drama, historical fantasy drama, I think, but it wasn't classified as a horror movie, which really fucked me up because it's got vampires.
Well, it's also because, like, all right, so
but it's not really scary.
It's not just that; it's that vampires aren't. They have become a cliched sort of silly thing at this point.
Yeah.
Agreed, but I like what they did with the vampires in that.
Well, no, yeah, that part was great about it. I mean, like, even if you look at the remake of fucking Fright Night, like, and quite frankly, like, honestly, the remake of Fright Night is brilliant. Like, the horror aspect of that is super, super hyped.
Right.
It's not just a vampire; it is what a vampire was meant to be. He's fucking gross, and he wants to kill things. That is his purpose in existence.
Yeah.
Right? And this was made right after the fucking Twilight series, which really fucked everything up, at least in my opinion.
But these were way better vampires than those.
Well, they were, but the problem is it came out at a time when the common acceptance of a vampire was the Twilight version.
Yeah, but no, fuck them.
Like, that's one of the fucked up things in movie, and for that matter, even literature history for me, is that Stephanie, whatever the fuck her name is,
Stephanie Meyer, a fantastic writer,
managed to turn vampires into they sparkle in the sun.
No, they don't.
Why is that stupid? Because fucking vampires burst into flame in the sun because God cannot stand their
or they lose their strength.
Well, or no, they're not as strong.
Well, look at Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Able to cross apart. No. See, that's the thing. Bram Stoker's Dracula, if you take the Gary Oldman version, where he was able to be on the streets in London during the daylight, right?
But he wasn't at full strength.
No, not only was he not at full strength, that didn't actually fucking happen in the original version. Period. That was done so that they could film it. Yeah. Vampires cannot exist in sunlight because God cannot stand their existence. That's the whole thing. They burst into flame because they are under God's light. Right? So it's a religious thing, but a vampire is a religious monster. Right? So you have to consider that. When even Anne Rice considered that. And her shit was it was straight up homoerotic fiction. Yeah. You know what I mean? There is a limit to how much you can do to a monster before people are annoyed. Mm-hmm. Which, by the way, jumps back to why I get why people were pissed off at Twilight. Yeah. That doesn't make any sense. If you stand there looking like a giant disco ball because the sun hit you, not God's judgment on you. You know what? People are going to fucking party like it's in 1978. That is not a fucking punishment. No. However, bursting into flame and burning down to dust is. And that's what the whole idea of a vampire was literally you could not withstand God's judgment. Right. That is what a vampire is meant to be. Now, granted, I say that, but I also enjoyed the Twilight
Heresy in the geek.
Yeah, I don't feel good about fucking saying it, Greg.
You better not.
Heretic.
But back to Vampire Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter real quick before we sign off. What they did with the vampires in here is they made it so that they couldn't attack each other. They couldn't kill each other.
Yeah.
Right.
I like that. That was cool. And they had a sunscreen.
Right.
They had gotten it wasn't like a witch's sunscreen either, like you see in Vampire Diaries. It was they made up their own sunscreen out of natural elements from the earth and everything. Yeah. Because that's what they had available to them at the time. When was Abraham Lincoln alive? Early to mid 1800s. You know.
Hold on.
Mid 1800s.
18 something.
He died in 1865.
Yeah. All right, 1865. So let's say 1820. No, he wasn't that old.
He was 40
something when he died.
No. He's a bit older than that, I think.
No, he was 40 something.
Oh, yeah, look it up real quick. I don't want to be historical.
Now I have to.
Abraham Lincoln was Abraham fucking Lincoln, but just imagine though, if that movie would if that shit would have really happened, and that's how we won the fucking war.
That exactly. I did enjoy the movie for that purpose. Yeah. Just the absurdity. He was 56. He was 56.
Okay. So he was close to 60. But yeah,
no, that part of it was fucking funny. The idea of a backstory, this is what really happened.
And using silver to weaken them with the to cut into them a little better with the axe.
Right. Well, actually, I would even go so far as to say that like I remember the cover of the DVD at the time when it came out, just the actor sitting there with his fucking stovepipe, holding his back, sitting on the chair. That's a great image.
Excellent.
Yeah. So the way in which it was done was not bad. It was not bad, and it did actually make the vampires fucking gross again at a time where they were being built up as pretty things that glittered in the sunlight.
Yeah.
To me, it was wonderful. I will give you that. And actually, I wouldn't even argue against the movie itself because it's a good movie.
Yeah.
It is. It
is.
But
there you have it.
It was. I honestly feel like it probably would have done better had it not been for the Stephanie Myers shit.
Agreed. But there you have it. Top 100 horror movies. And we're going to discuss something off the air here. But before we go, we got Josh Petrino coming. You got some stuff coming on Dad Mented. Be sure to go check out Dad Mented if you haven't already. Whatever wrong with you?
That's a new book release day.
Yes, Greg has a new book out.
Looking forward to that, by the way.
With Jason's famous illustrations.
That together and some quality, good stuff. The back and front, very good.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. But Craig, Jason, we've reached the end of our journey. This is just a road on our eternal journey.
I told you we were lost.
Yes, but we found the turn that we need to take, and we're going to take it. So until next time.
Good night, guys.